Welcome to the Healing Corner podcast, where we're having honest conversations in a safe place since 2022.
I'm excited. I'm excited because there's so much coming in that needs to happen, and it's like, when is a better time than now?
Right
Let's
now.
make it happen. Let's do this thing,
Yeah.
Welcome to the Healing Corner podcast. I hope y'all are doing well. We're excited to bring this episode. We're going to be talking about from ignorance to empowerment, preparing your family for life's ending. We got two special guests here. I'm excited to have their experiences put out here, some information that y'all could definitely gather. And then we will have some more information down in the description box below. So definitely check out the description box below. We're going to do intros first. So we'll go ahead and have our guests introduce themselves. And then after that, me and Yams, if you guys are new here, we'll tell you what we like to do. And then we'll get started with the conversation. So Alycia, if you want to get started, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alycia. I don't know what I'm a Nashville native. That's all I got. I don't know. Alycia, that's my name.
What do you do in life? What do you care about?
Say that again.
So what do you do in life? What do you care about?
This service. What do I care about? I care about people. I care about community. I care about the mental health of people. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, DJ.
Hello, everybody. My name is DJ. I'm here as a financial professional. I bring values to family in terms of forms of financial education and estate planning, legacy, all that. That's me.
You want me to go, Deb, or you going? Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Yamana. Internet knows me as Coach Yams, and I'm empowering millennial professional women to live life on purpose and without apology and on their terms. Also do all kinds of other fun things like virtual dance parties and whatnot. And if you're interested in that, connect with me outside of right now.
And for anyone who's new here, my name is Deborah Williams. I go by Deb. I am the owner of Deb's Healing Cornerstone, as well as Deb's Healing Cornerstone Intuitive online. If you're interested in finding out like details about what I do, check out debshealingcornerstone.com. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to start off with DJ. I want to ask him about basically what it looks like to help in a family setting. Let's say there's a family of 5 or something like that. And let's say the father has passed away and there's just a mom and the kids left over. How do you go forward with this, or how does it look? What does it look like?
Initially, I want to make sure that the father is prepared. The father is well prepared for his passing, so that when the father is gone, the family is not left in the street. So children and the wife and the mother, I would say, they need to be prepared in that sense, wherein the father's leaving is a legacy behind. I don't know if you want to elaborate on your question so I can go a little deeper, but talking to the family, I would go from there, preparing the father so that when the children are left behind, they're not in the street.
Okay. So does it really, when it comes to like the main provider, so let's say that the father was the main provider, is there a difference when it comes to that? Like if the mom is married to the father, is there going to be a difference when it comes to if the children receive it, or how does that usually look, or how does that go?
Yes, the legacy, when you want to leave a legacy behind, say for example, you want to list the beneficiary. So it doesn't matter if the mother was married to the father or to the provider. Whoever is listed as a beneficiary into whatever the father is leaving behind is what is going to be passed on, whether they're married or not. So that's the most important part. listing those unless they are under 18. Then that's where it becomes a little bit of a problem. But if they're married, then the mother is going to be taking care of the children, even if they're 18 or younger.
Okay. Alycia, so what do you have to say about those two questions I just asked?
Can you repeat the questions for me, please?
Yeah. Oh, so okay. Let's say that for example, there's a family of 5. There's a mom, a dad, and then 3 kids. And what you've seen, because we kind of want to get into like what you have dealt with or what you have experienced. Is there always like a question of who gets what, or like, because I've seen, I will just put it like this. I've seen in, some circumstances where people just automatically think that if it's a married couple that the mother will automatically get the benefits, versus like if it's left to the child or left to another family member. What have you experienced in that?
So I think, and I'm not sure I know from DJ's experiences, it's more from helping them the insurance side. Mine is just more from my family was prepared when death did happen in our family, when it came to immediate family members. I think that, I mean, it can be a family of 1. It doesn't have to be a family of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever, I don't think in my opinion, it shouldn't just be the husband. It should be the husband and the wife who is set up. Everybody in my family was set up. The wife, the husband, the children. There were conversations because I knew that I was going to be the executor of the estate. So there were even conversations with the children. I think in a lot of families, nobody wants to have those conversations because they're tough with children. But you don't know when you're going to die. So you have to have conversations with the children, and let it be known what is to arise and what is set up. Because in my personal experience, when my grandfather passed away, he did a lot for me to help me out beforehand, but there was still a lot I had to do after his death because he was married. His wife was not my grandmother. He remarried. His wife didn't want anything financially, but there were still so many steps. I had to go to court. I had to pay for a lawyer. I had to do this. And he did so much for me beforehand. There was still so much afterwards that I still needed to do because there were not certain conversations of, I didn't even know that you could add a beneficiary on your bank accounts. That would have helped me have access to his accounts. I had to hire a lawyer to have access to his accounts. That cost me $4,000. Everybody just doesn't have $4,000 laying around. And if this had been knowledgeable beforehand and said, hey, I'm just going to put my granddaughter's name on this, it would have been that simple. And so there's just certain conversations that need to be had beforehand so you can prevent having to do all this rigmarole to go around, when I was finding out that there were steps in lieu of life insurance that you can take to make things easier for the loved one left behind.
Okay. Yams, you got a question for him?
I don't have, well, yes, I do actually. I have 2 questions. I have a question for each of you because I want the listeners to be informed. Could you, Alycia, explain what an executor is and how that works from your perspective? And then DJ, can you explain what beneficiaries are and how they work?
So the executor of the estate is basically the person that is in control of the estate. There is an estate left after somebody died. Even if that person's married, again, my grandfather was married, he remarried. But the person that was taking control and was in control of the money, the finances, what happened with this, that was legally his wife. She didn't want any ties to it. So legally it became me. So I had to get a piece of paperwork mandated by the court that said I was the person in control. So nobody could talk to me about anything when I showed them this paperwork. Now, if you're married, you just show your marriage certificate. But because I'm not the daughter, I'm the granddaughter. Because he remarried, you had to have that piece of paperwork to say I am the executor of the estate, which is basically saying I have control. If you have questions, you ask me. If there are things, even to this day, my grandfather he passed away in 2019. Even if to this day, if there are things that are sent, they're not sent to his wife. They're sent to the executor of the estate, which is me.
Thank you.
So, before I answer the question about the beneficiary, I'll piggyback on what Alycia is saying.
Absolutely.
She was saying that there was a lot more done that could have been done that she had to do. For example, paying the 4,000 to hire a lawyer. There's a step that how I help people to avoid all of that is by going to get a trust. So, if someone has a trust, then in that trust, everything that you have, all your assets are you have, as you're saying, that you have the executor, but then you have a trustee in it. You can name someone else, but you have the beneficiaries as well. So you can, if you have any children under the age of 18, the benefit of having a trust is that it doesn't go through the probate. So you have a trust, everything is already decided in it. Whatever needs to be done, you have the steps. You can write, even list everything that you have. You say, my necklace will go to Jens, my watch will go to Deb. So you list everything, and then it doesn't go to probate because it's already there and it's already sealed by the lawyers, right? So, to piggyback on the conversation on what Alycia was saying, but what a beneficiary is, it just lists the person who's going to be inheritor. It's going to be taking over your asset, right? So that person has to be over 18, because if the person is under 18, everything will be frozen until that beneficiary becomes legally 18 and be able to take over your stuff. So a beneficiary, again, as Alycia was saying, she didn't know a bank account. Not all banks account have a beneficiary, but you can, at least if you have a trust, you can ask them to put the owner of the bank account under the trust instead of your name. That way, if you're gone, your assets are not frozen, because it goes to the beneficiary, not to the beneficiary, it goes to the trust, and then whoever is listing the trust, trustees and executors and all that, they all have access to your um, things directly. So that goes for, we don't think about this, but if you have an Instagram account, for example, I cannot say, for example, you are married, your spouse cannot call, cannot contact Google or Facebook or whatever to access your stuff, because you don't have that permission. But you have to have the power of attorney or all that. But that comes as part of the trust. Short, instead of dragging in. I can go a little bit deeper, but just to make you aware of what's available.
Yeah, it's good to know. And I've never been an executor, but just to share a bit of my experience, I've also not had a lot of death that I've dealt with when it comes to the legal side of things. But what I do know is that I'm the person in my family who has set up the beneficiaries with my insurance with my job, and also with the life insurance policy I have outside of my job. My bank accounts, if there is an option for a beneficiary there's another word that's used, but whoever can have your money if you go. I've taken the steps to make sure at the very least I have those things in place, so that whoever is left after me has access to that stuff, has access to those assets. Because if you don't put a beneficiary, from my understanding, if you don't put a beneficiary, everything can go to the state.
Yeah. I think.
So, and I'd much rather have it go to somebody that I care about than just the government.
There's this, if I may interrupt a little bit, there's this thing called probate. I think some people have heard of it. Most people don't really care about it, don't know about it. But a probate is like a lawsuit that you file against yourself, right? And then you pay for it, because you just haven't done the necessary step to avoid that your money gets locked up by the state. Will take part of it. The judges will take part of your asset. Whoever your creditors will take part of your asset, and the federal government, they'll serve themselves first, and then what's left is what's going to be passed to your family. If that's how you had planned it, congratulations. But I think most people have not planned it to be like that. They've worked their whole lives to pass on their asset, their life, or everything else, to pass on to their to pass that legacy to their family. But just because they're not aware of the probate, and the probate can take years, it can take a year, 2 years, three, five, but then all that time, your money is being chopped into pieces until whatever is left is going to be passed to your
I have a question for DJ actually.
family.
You spoke of frozen accounts. Like, when do you ever see that happening a lot? When like people's assets are froze?
I don't know if I can speak into this, but it was public, right? Chadwick Boseman,
Hmm.
you know him, Black Panther, right? He's he died, but then all his asset was frozen, and it's public, right? And it had to go through probate, and until they finish everything, and what's left is what's left, and then they pass it to the wife. And that information is public. You can Google it today; you'll find it. And that's a real example, and that just shows you a high personality or high identity person versus a regular person that you don't know about. And then another person could be just anybody. It could be me. It could be you. If you die today and you have not taken the steps necessary to protect your assets, it's gonna go into probate. That's how it is. That's the law.
Hmm.
Yep, regular person or celebrity, everybody in between can catch these probate hands.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So I think I guess if I had to ask a question, what would be 3 things that is something people should definitely take steps or action on to make sure that they're not having a lot of frustration and confusion after a loved one has passed?
Alicia, wanna go
And
first?
Oh, yeah. So I would say number one, have the conversation. I feel like in a lot of households, and you don't want to talk about things like death. It makes you very uncomfortable. Um, it's a touchy subject, but if you don't have the conversation, you're going to be in a very bad place when the person dies because you're already, dealing with the death of the person. You're sad. I know my grandfather, before he passed, we would have conversations. He would say, you're already going to be sad. You shouldn't have to worry with anything else, the financial part of it, which is true. So I would say having the conversations, and letting the person that you have said this is the person that's going to take care of things, let them know where things are, how to get to them, who to call. It just takes less stress off the person. I would also say, don't be afraid to have people in control over your assets. I do think that I know before my grandfather passed, I was like, you should just put my name on the deed of the house, just like, just because I'm thinking you should make things a lot easier for me and stop, and doing. And he didn't want to because I think there's a little bit of a fear of, putting someone as a beneficiary on your bank accounts. I think, especially for an older person, possibly there's is this person going to come in and try to take from me? I have actually heard parents who are trying to prepare for the end of their life for their children say things like that, and it's like, no, you don't even have to tell them. You can just do it. Um, Third thing I would say is to, um, and this is kind of morbid, but it helped a lot for me. My grandfather, when I say the part that he helped me a lot on is the funeral. His funeral was already paid for. Okay. I did not know that when you have life insurance, you can put the funeral director as the beneficiary. So when I was doing life insurance paperwork, one of them was not mine, one of them was not my sister's. I had to figure out, it's the funeral director. And so my grandfather had already had that set up before he died. He also had his name. He's buried next to my grandmother. If you're not buried, cremated, however, you can still set something up with a funeral home. If you're, a little older, that might, be something that you do when you're a little older. But he had it paid for. I think I had to pay a small amount. afterward to put his name or the date of death. His name was actually already on the tombstone. To put his date of death on the tombstone. But just little things like that I really appreciated, because if you do bury someone and have a funeral, they can cost like $20,000. Who has $20,000 just sitting around? Who has $15,000 just sitting around? So it was just doing little things like that. I did not know that you could make the funeral director the beneficiary until my grandfather died. So it was just those little things that really, I was very appreciative of, because I did, again, had to do so much more after he died. So that took a lot off my plate, just those small things.
So three things. As Alycia said, the first one is conversation. Definitely, you want to talk to your family, prepare them. Death is something that happens to life. It's not something that's, a taboo. It's going to happen. Like, I think 99.99% people, 99.99% of people will die, will all die. So it's not something to be afraid of, especially if you have a plan. So when does it become easier to talk about death? Is when you are prepared, right? So you are prepared. You prepare your family. For example, I was not in fear, but I had this uneasy feeling when my trust was not in place. I would fly, and I don't know the last destination where I went, but I was in the plane and I was very uneasy in the plane. What happens if something happens to me? My trust is not in place yet, right? So those things, when you start, you have those things in place. So you have whatever you have, you need to do. You have a trust, life insurance, financial plan, like a legacy plan yourself. Plan your life after yourself. As Alycia is saying, dealing with the emotion of the loss of the person is already heavy. What do they have to deal about? Paying your debt, paying whatever, trying to figure out. For example, I'll go back a little bit. Another thing, it's called the power of attorney. I spoke on it briefly. For some people, someone who goes through a stroke, for example, who's in a hospital, cannot speak, cannot make a decision for himself. People fight over those things because I want to hang on to the life of this person. The other person is like, no, let him go. Now, where's the plan? What do we do at that point? But if you, as a person, had set that up already, as Alycia is saying, it's people outside of that will be appreciative of that because it's easy already. The decision's there; it's already made, and then they just read it. They just have to execute the decision. Right? So have a conversation, have a plan in place, and let it know, let your people know about what you have.
Okay. I'm actually glad you brought up power of attorney, because that was one thing that I wanted to ask you guys about. I know that there's two different types, isn't there? Like the medical, and then there's also the financial. Because some people
That's
think
right.
when they sign up for a medical power of attorney, it covers the financial portion, and it doesn't. So, Alycia, did you have to deal with that? Because I know, isn't an executive have a little bit more power than the power of attorney, or how does that work?
I don't know. I don't know if you can become executor when somebody's still alive. Possibly, maybe if they're on their deathbed, possibly. But I didn't have. He was already passed when I was, dealing with everything. Even before he passed, though, I did not have to have power of attorney to make decisions on next steps. I did have to make decisions. Again, he was married. His wife verbally just gave me control of everything, and it was up to me, and it wasn't any paperwork that was asked for. It was what are the next steps? He's going to stay in the hospital. He's going to go to hospice. Da 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 this. I think that if there had been an argument, like DJ was saying, if somebody's going to go, for example, on life support, and I have a sister. So say me and my sister's like, no. And I'm like, yes, take him off life support. She's like, no, keep it. That's when I more than likely may have had to have some type of legal paperwork to state that I am the one. He had a will. He did have a will. I'll say that too. He had a will, a handwritten will. He wrote it. In this will, he had me as basically in charge. The court still didn't care because it wasn't legally binding. Okay. It was something that he wrote. So I didn't have to deal with that when he was living, as far as what were the next steps for him. It was when he passed, then I was getting a lot of roadblocks because they're like, well, where are the kids? You know, and then even that, they're like, well, where are the death certificates of the kids? And oh, but he's married. So it was just kind of like, okay, you know. And so that's when I did have to, even selling his house, I decided to sell his house in 2020. And that was chaotic. Okay. Selling a house alone. But that was stroke worthy because I was the executor of the estate. And because at any moment, because he was married, this is why marriage is very serious, because he was married, his wife could swoop in at any moment and say, no, I want a third of everything. She didn't, but it was just always that. So I dealt with the after death experience more than having issues while he was still living.
Okay. DJ, the same question, about the power of attorney executive, like, does that even transfer? Because I know, like how Alycia said, you can have power of attorney while they're still alive when it comes to like their life or even the financial portion. But when does that like transfer into like needing maybe executive or something like that? When is a good time to do that?
Disclaimer: I'm not a lawyer, first of all. So, but a power of attorney, as far as I know, as far as what I did, you can put in the, as you said, there are two. There's a financial power of attorney, and then there's a health power of attorney. And then in the health power of attorney, you can decide whether that person can make decisions for you while you're alive or after, or while you're not able to make decisions for yourself. You can specify that. Now, if you specify that they can make decision while you're still able, not by alive, I meant like able and what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Aware of everything, that you can make a decision for yourself. You can check that saying that this person can make the decision too. But most of the time, for me, for example, I made it so that when I'm not able to make the decisions for myself, but I have a list of things like when I have this, when I have this, and I have that, this person can make the decisions for me, for example. Right. So that's where it comes in. So to answer your question, there's you have two options when you do the health power of attorney, is that you can do a power of attorney for and designate someone who can make the decision while you're still very capable of making your own decisions, or just have someone to make decisions where you're not capable of making your own decisions.
Okay, cool. Yams, did you have anything else you wanted to ask them?
I don't have anything else I want to ask. I do want to add that one thing that is important to note is that, we like to have warm, fluffy feelings about people and things while everybody is alive and things are going well. It is, however, important to be aware that death brings ugly out of people, family included. Having these conversations and having this stuff figured out on the front end and in writing, legally seamed up, is the way to go, because family can get ugly when people die. And that is just a reality that I have seen over and over and play out in so many families, and it tears people apart in addition to already being in the process of grieving the person that you've lost. So while having these conversations, also be honest with yourself about who these people are and how they are in your regular life. Like, we don't have to pretend like the family member that may be struggling with any kind of an abuse of some sort, substance, mental, physical, whatever, may not, present problems when things get hairy.
Okay. Well, we're getting closer to the end. Do you guys have any more closing remarks? Alycia, I'll let you go, and then DJ, and then Yams, and then I'll close it out.
I'll just prepare for the end. Like DJ said, we're gonna die. Unless you're some type of vampire, something we don't know about yet, you're gonna die. So be courteous and thoughtful for the people that have to, no matter, even if it's just a friend, if it's not even a family member, even if it's just a friend that's going to be nice enough to take care of things for you at the end of your life. Think about them. I think it's a very selfless act to have things in place for the people after you when you die.
So for me, pretty much the same, saying that what I've read some places and what I know, what I've noticed is that most people don't plan to fail. The failure comes wherein people don't plan anything. They don't they don't plan. So the failure that's where it comes, right? So they don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. That's the first. And the second is everybody should know that your life has an intrinsic value, meaning that if you're gone, there's a value that you can be buried with, or you can leave it with your family as a legacy. Your choice is yours. So if you love your people, you probably want to plan that and then have a legacy behind so that people, when they're dealing with when they're grieving of your death, you don't have to go through the financial struggle. So that's me.
And I agree, echo both of y'all. Death is inevitable. It's coming for every one of us at some point. We don't know the time or the hour. Live your life to the absolute fullest while you're here. Enjoy your present moments and get ready, preparation wise, paperwork wise, so that after you're gone, it's not a, a chaotic mess for the people after you to have to deal with. Just make it as easy as you can on the people that you leave behind. And even if you don't get all the things in place, put some of the things in place. Do something.
Yes. Okay. Well, I want to thank DJ and Alycia for taking the time to even coming on here and share with us your experiences and some of the things that you guys have encountered. So we definitely appreciate you taking the time to do that. Also, don't forget, y'all, we are the second and fourth Saturday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you are interested, definitely check us out next month. Next month will be our next one coming up. And definitely check out the description box below. We'll have information again down there regarding maybe tools that can help you as well. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share, hit the post notification bell. But we'll go ahead and talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Thank you.
Bye.